Hey, good to see
Cam,
you
we're
again.
doing this again. Let's go.
This time in Bangkok.
In Bangkok, last time
Yeah.
in Bali.
Yeah.
Time for-
we're collecting the travel stamps.
The Asian cities.
Yeah. Do you send your parents a postcard?
No, they're coming to Bangkok
Or they're
sometimes
just
as well.
Coming
Yeah.
direct.
Yeah.
I love that. I try and actually send my nan a postcard.
Wow, that's a great idea.
Yeah,
actually. I
she
should do
loves
that.
it.
Really?
Should I put some on the mantelpiece?
I'll think about doing that.
Yeah,
Actually,
it's
that's a
kinda
nice.
cute.
That's
Yeah.
a nice call. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
great.
it's
Actually,
old school.
that is also
The first time I did it was in Vietnam. That's why I just talked about it. There's a
Really?
place you can go to where you can send a postcard back for free.
Oh,
You just
nice.
fill it in,
Yes, yeah. Just
and then you put it in the letterbox, and they send it.
actually, it's kind of cool because this retro stuff sort of comes back now. Usually, I basically order flowers online. That's
Okay.
also nice. She appreciates that. She likes orchids and stuff, and then they last for a long time.
That's nice.
But yeah, a postcard is actually kind of nice, and I'm pretty sure they would cherish it quite a lot. They keep reading it over and over and stuff.
There's a physicality to it.
Handwritten.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That
Mental note
a bit
taken.
cheap, doing it
She
digital.
just type it out.
Claude, please, can you send a postcard to? Can you open a browser session, go to order a postcard, put this and send it? Thank you, Claude.
Yeah. And then it cuts off in the middle, so you're out of tokens. It's
Yeah. Literally, hi Dan, I'm having a great time. Please upgrade to max.
exactly. She's like, "Who's Claude?"
Yeah. Who the fuck is Claude? I think that's a good topic. When Claude goes down,
Ooh,
it's like when your dealer's not around.
that's what happens to me when I'm on a flight. It's sort of weird because not all the flights have Starlink yet, which really is annoying. I've never been on a
Qatar,
flight with
right?
Starlink. Qatar does have it, but I've never been on one that has Starlink, and I'm really looking forward to it. But now every time you're on a flight, basically if you're starting to write code, it doesn't autocomplete, it doesn't do anything. You're back to 1994 or something. It feels like it feels like you're not there anymore.
I've
right?
tried to go back and do it, and I'm like, oh, this is really slow, and I
Yes.
kind of forget.
Yeah.
I know intuitively what's going on, but the actual, if you keep going back and back, I was like, okay, I used to be can I remember how to build map reduce from scratch,
Right.
in primitive JavaScript, and I'm like, okay, you didn't. And then the other day I tried to do it just see if I still have it.
Oh, right.
I was like, no,
It's crazy.
it's gone.
You're so used to just asking these questions now, right? So if you don't have internet, even asking a simple question, I'm now basically preparing work that I can do on a flight ahead of time, where I'm just no, actually I can do this on a flight because it doesn't need internet. It doesn't need a connection because I know how to do it. It's just grind work basically.
Okay.
For example, write an article about an upcoming product feature or something. I can do that without usually all the articles that we post, we don't usually use AI because it's much nicer to just write it yourself, and it feels more in our voice than some corporate statement or something, But
You can detect it now. You can.
Yeah.
Some people are not very good at removing the double hyphens, which is
well, I like proofread it or something. I'm just because it's if there's anything weird weird grammatically or something, it can sometimes fix that stuff.
Yeah.
But for coding, it's weird, right? And a lot of the work that we do also requires just an internet connection for testing stuff, some external API or something. It just doesn't work. There's actually a funny hack that I've seen on X. Someone usually the internet on planes, they allow you to connect to the Wi-Fi, but then you're sort of locked behind sort of a paywall. Right.
Yeah.
But so what they do is they just basically they don't resolve any of the domains. They just block that. But actually, you still can do a normal DNS lookup, and basically there's people now that are sort of hosting these DNS servers basically that then are a command line tool that you can basically use ChatGPT. But basically, it's a little bit slow or whatever, but you can use it, right? It's kind of hacky and stuff, but
well,
I mean,
whilst you're on a flight without paying.
Exactly, yes.
Nice.
So you just connect to the Wi-Fi, but you're in a paywall, but you can still do these DNS lookups because they're usually allowed. They cannot really block that, which is kind of interesting. And then the other thing is that
That's a proper hack.
it's a proper hack, right? But honestly, it's so retro that it doesn't really make a big difference. It's just more a proof of concept. I feel I tested it out once, pinged that thing. I was like, oh, that's cool. But then it's not really that useful.
Yeah.
But it's definitely not one of the top models being run there. It's probably some old model that they can run on this
Raspberry Pi.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, well, what works, that works, right?
Yeah. But it's crazy that this time last year, I remember me and George being like, oh, we should start using like cursor.
Yeah.
We just started using cursor.
Right.
And it was like, oh yeah, we should copy and paste the snippets into the code. It was like Stack Overflow, it was like an upgraded Stack Overflow. And then it was like, oh, cursor's like editing files, a few changes on the page. Oh, that helps.
Yeah.
Still writing a lot, and then like kind of learning how to trust it.
Right.
And you're like, okay, yeah, that's cool. And then progressively to the point where it's like, oh, now I've got like parallel agents and asynchronous like tasks in the background that I'm texting on WhatsApp to do things and test things.
Dude, crazy, huh?
And I'm like, that's the fastest adoption and growth of tech.
Yes.
And I think for a lot of people, obviously they use it in their jobs a lot. I know like nearly everyone is using it in some way, but I don't think it's had as much impact on the developer community than anywhere else.
I agree. Yeah. And the thing is that I think it still has the stigma for some people that it like hallucinates, and that's no longer true. Like these, like the reasoning models that came out basically are so good at proofreading what they're doing and like understanding the context, and they can even like ask questions now. Like if you use, recently they launched Codex as an app now, like 2 days ago or something. And the thing is like now, I like to use it a lot just to plan things. Like you can do like /plan, and then you just be like, how difficult would it be to achieve XYZ? And it literally like writes out like a plan of all the changes you would have to consider and that you have to make. And you probably have to like look into it a bit more, but you can basically scope out a project ahead of time and be like, okay, that's like a day of work, or that's like a week of work, or like, oh, this requires some big migrations or something, you know, but like it's really handy, you know, to do this type of work. And also like our code base now with Songstats is really big. So, and it's a big like monolith. Like we run a lot of like, we spin out like song share and playlist check and radio stats, and then mobile app, everything from one front end. And then we have a back end that now all encompasses all.
Okay.
So at this point now, when there's like some random like behavior, sometimes it's like really like confusing, and it takes you like 15 minutes just to like locate where this is actually coming from. Yeah. And it's so great to just be like, just type in sort of like what's happening and be like, where could this go wrong? And then it can actually like often just find it for you. And you just like write that in one, like the symptom, basically. You give it a symptom, and because it can like go through all the syntax, it can usually pinpoint like where this is happening. And then you don't have to spend these 15 minutes. You just let it think for 5 minutes, and then you come back and you're like, oh, that's where it is. So you can just move on with your day, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of cool.
I use the plan mode. It's really good.
Yeah.
I really like Codex. There's like a little bit of a battle with the engineering team. They're like, no, we really like Claude Code. So I started using Claude Code a little bit more now. Because they've also got like the app version in like with Codex, which I really like. And there's a couple of repos that we've been using that are open source. One's called Get Shit Done. And it's just some guy who's like set up all these parallel agents to like also do plan mode, but in like much more depth.
Wow.
But it's for like big features.
Yeah.
So like we were planning one the other day, and I compared it to like what Codex plan was like, and Codex is still really good. This one was like really good for massive new features.
Right.
So I think it's like you just get good at knowing which one you could use for
what
each thing.
Like also sometimes like if you have like a big problem, sometimes one just can't crack it. Recently, like I'm using Grok for like really difficult problems, and often it comes up with a solution that the other ones don't, and then it's working. But
really?
It's like a last
Grok
resort.
yet.
It's very smart, but it's almost, I don't necessarily like the output format so much. So like on like regular things, I prefer to use like ChatGPT or something else, you know, to just like ask a question, because it's just like more naturally formatted and explained. Maybe I could give it some better like system prompt or something, you know, to like let it like output a little bit smarter or whatever. But like it can usually like really outthink the other ones, I feel like, sometimes with like a hard problem. But that's rare, you know. It's like some big SQL or some like weird optimization or some like random bug that like is super strange. And then
interesting.
Yeah,
I need to try it.
Yeah.
What do you think about how Google feel about all this?
Good.
All these changes.
They will crush it. Google is the one that everyone's sleeping on, I feel like.
What was Gemini?
Gemini is getting really, really good. They're now doing the deal with Apple, right? I think that's going to release like next.
They're going to
update.
come and work with Apple, right?
Yeah. So it's actually funny.
Apple actually admitted they were like, we can't do it.
Yeah, they gave up. They I don't know. Apple is always so stingy. You know, they sit on so much cash, and then instead of like investing it in the moment when like a new tech comes around, they're always waiting. And then now it just basically now they just have to spend like millions or billions probably to Google. The thing is, they earned all that money from putting Google as the primary search engine, right, into iOS and macOS for years. I think Google has spent like 20 billion every year just to be the primary search engine. And now it's basically reversing, where basically now Apple needs to pay Google to use Siri, which is now Gemini. It's just a wrapper, I guess.
So they couldn't get Siri right, so they're using Gemini underneath.
Siri is so dumb in comparison to all the other AI models now. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Was that a talent problem, do you think?
It was a allocation problem of resources. I feel like if you see what, like, for example, Elon did with Grok, they were behind. Like, they were behind Anthropic, and they were behind OpenAI and everyone, and they literally just threw cash at it. They built a data center, like the biggest basically computing cluster in like a year. They had to put like all these like power plant. They basically mobile power plants there because they couldn't get enough energy, right?
Yeah, so it's actually quite a big
it's wild
there.
Actually. Yeah.
And it's like very illegal there apparently.
It is a bit. I think
they're
what
using like methane and
I think they had to actually go cross border to another state and then run like 4 or 5 kilometers of like these high voltage power lines to do it in another state because it was illegal in the state.
And are we talking about, just to clarify, are we talking about training the models on the GPUs and running the inference compute when people put in the queries? Because there's 2 separate things, right?
Yes.
You train the models, but then also when you put your chat into the input, that is running on compute.
Yeah.
So the data centers are actually delivering on the requests, right?
Well, I think Apple was very smart from the beginning with inference compute on the iPhone. Like, they have a neural engine in all the processors going back like 6 or 7 years, which is really good. Like, you can run local models on that as long as they're like compressed enough, you know, and they can actually
the
run
DeepSeek ones and smaller ones.
Well, Siri and I think they do a lot of like neural engines, like they're just helping. Like, when you take a photo now, there's so much processing going on there, and a lot of it is some models that run in the background. But they have a lot of processing power. Like, the new iPhones are ridiculously powerful, but you're not actually using this. Like, honestly, there was no difference like on the day-to-day usage, unless you're maybe like mobile gaming, from buying the iPhone 4 or 5 years ago to now. Unless maybe your battery goes bad and then it throttles a bit.
Incremental improvements, right?
Incremental, yeah. But what is actually getting better is, I mean, they should have a stronger model that they can run Siri for and like actually like do context-aware stuff, you know, where you can just like ask it to reply to some email or ask it to text your friend or like make an appointment and all of these things. You know, they actually like presented a lot of these features like 2 years ago and never came out with anything. And then they even like use it as big marketing material around like the last iPhone release, and then they didn't really ship any of the big features. It's like really bad. So now they're like, okay, we give up. We're going with Google because Google has all these things basically ready. So it's sort of interesting, right? Like, oh well, it is how it is. Yeah. It's a heads-on race, right?
It is. OpenAI is spending a lot of money.
They all are, but they all know they're gonna get it back. I mean, now the crazy thing is everyone's racing for this thing of, or at least Elon is like really like promoting this as like AI in space.
You told me this.
It's
about
crazy.
The cooling.
Yeah.
He announced that he's gonna do it.
Well, yeah, they really like it. Elon is crazy with this kind of stuff, but yeah, I mean, I think he's merging all of his companies now. They like XAI got merged with SpaceX. So basically now AI is combined with like rockets, and now basically they want to IPO SpaceX, and then they want to join Tesla into it, possibly. And then like the idea is that you can basically like, you can have solar powered AI in space with laser links, which they're already doing with basically Starlink. And because they're in space, you basically you have like 5 times the energy because you don't have atmosphere in between. You're in space, so it is always sunny in space, basically. So you don't have downtime. And then it's actually like 10 times cheaper probably because you also don't need energy, like battery storage or anything like at night, right? So you basically have constant power and you have constant cooling through radiation into space, into deep space, right?
You told me about this.
Like, it's so crazy, actually. Like, I'm like, okay, this is wild. I mean, the concept of it is wild. The only thing you really need to solve is like like the cargo into space, right? Like the reusability of the rockets, which they're working on. So a lot
They're
of things are
they're
pending.
close to that.
They're close to that.
They're like closer than anyone
are
else.
sick.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm a nerd with
Was
this
this
stuff.
planned the whole time, do you think?
Or
is it still Mars?
I think Mars was his plan the whole time. I think the convergence of his companies now, that was more like a recent thing. Like I think like it all became clear to him, and it was like all these puzzle pieces that suddenly like merged together, and it's like, wow. And now it's like that's the future, right? Like it's kind of wild, right?
That'd be a good bit of stock to get.
Yeah. Yeah. The SpaceX stock.
SpaceX one.
Yeah.
On the IPO.
It's actually really interesting because in like I'm invested in Tesla because that's like an open stock, right? Yeah. But like SpaceX, there was like a chance for me to invest in them through like sort of like a collection of people that because it was a private company and they like and then but it was so many hurdles around it because you cannot sell the stock, so it's like non-liquid, and then the problem is as well it's like all based in the States and I'm not based in the States, and then that would have had like crazy tax implications for me and all these things. So in the end I didn't end up going for it, but probably whatever money I would have put in this would have probably like tenfolded since that moment. So it's like, okay, well, whatever. I mean, the IPO will still be super exciting.
I think the IPO would be good.
Yeah, that's a big opportunity for a lot of people, I feel like. But yeah.
Because the regulation is not hit yet on the environment damage.
That's true.
It will come. Eventually it'll catch up.
Yeah. But if you do it in space, I mean...
But that's what I mean. He's got a massive advantage.
Yes.
Having the rockets, having good satellite knowledge.
Yes. Good solar, like
the
solar
other companies
energy.
won't be able to replicate that, and then he'll end up doing that as like a cloud, like what Amazon do. It's like, yeah, I'll rent my satellites to you.
Yeah, it's so weird how he's really playing 4D chess. You know, if anyone plays 4D chess, it's Elon. It's so weird, right? Like in all the others, everyone else is trying to dispute that that's like the future. But if you think of it objectively, like without like anything, it's just like if you envision. Like where's the world gone in the last like 20 years? It's actually interesting. Like when I was still in school, there was a documentary on like the public networks in Germany, which was basically, it was called 2057. It was aired in 2007. So basically, and they were basically doing a lookout into the future 50 years from now. It was 3 episodes. One was about the body, like your person and how that changes. The second one was the city, and looking at like this, how a city and the economy of a city changes and the infrastructure. And then the last was the world, basically. And it was so cool to like envision these things. It was all based on current science and then just basically like kind of sort of like planned out, right? And the crazy thing about it is that like a lot of these things that they presented there, now it's like 20 years, not even later, are already reality now. And it's been 20 years. It's like accelerating.
What kind of things?
Like, for example, like smartware. Like now you have like smartware, like you're wearing like a watch that can read like your heart monitor and all this stuff. Like then for example, like digital insurance and stuff like this, where now you have a car that basically like it just tracks your driving behavior and then your insurance rate goes down. Like there's like a lot of like smart things like this, right? Like there's a lot of things that are happening like this. I mean, solar power is becoming like, at least in China, is becoming like a primary energy source, and it will become like pretty much the only energy source in the long run that's like really viable. And like a lot of these things. So in general, like it's kind of cool to see that if you envision how you want the future to be, I would like it to be like this, you know, where we are like in like a great relationship with AI in a way. We have these like optimize robots or whatever that run around and they do all your chores basically, and they help. You know, the only question then I guess will really be like philosophical yes. questions, right? Like how, like what is your role then? Because if you just enjoy yourself, is AI gonna treat you like a pet? You know, like, you know, just like, oh, keep the human happy, you know, just like give it a treat or something like this, you know, if it behaves well. I could totally see that that's gonna happen, but you know, who knows? You know? Yeah, I don't know what way. They will like study us, you know, be like, okay, how's the brain structured? How can we get more efficient? Like, all this like weird shit. Yeah. We had a conversation that went super deep the other day about like how far that could go. Wow. And I was like, it's crazy. We're cooked. I can nerd out over this stuff for like we can nerd tonight. Like in a different like mindset, or like go in again. I think so. AI at work, AI at Trackstack, AI at Songstats, that is something we both take very seriously. I would say like the way our companies are structured and the way we operate as founders is
is like the most leveraged space to use AI, because if we were a company with VC funding and like 50 people and a massive team of 20 engineers, I think the bigger companies are struggling to like manage the AI volume that comes into their workflow. And what I think is that with the smaller approach, like what we've done, you know, small and mighty now, I'd say, we have the opportunity to move at the same speed as like a 50-person engineering team in a way, but with the agility of being in a 3 or 4 man team where it's like, should we do that? Yeah, cool.
Yeah, I mean, one interesting example, for instance, is that like we were always such a small team that we never built testing, never. Like it was just like we had even made a song. It was called "We're Testing on Production," and we would always like sing it like deploying. You know, we're testing on production. We're testing on production. Oh my god, we're testing on production. It was like fingers crossed. So a lot of companies, they spend probably like 30 or 40% of their like development time writing tests, you know, just making sure you come up with all the different scenarios that could break, you know. It's still a good exercise to think of like the edge cases, you know, but like generally you spend a lot of time. Now with AI, you could either basically have AI run like write a test for you and then run the test. But even better now, basically we connected Codex with GitHub. Now basically every time we put up a merge request, it essentially like reads the whole merge request and points out any flaws. Yeah. Like, and it's basically just like, oh, great. Like it points out like something like, oh, this could be nil or whatever. It's like, okay, cool. Like just make it safe. Done. Right. Yeah. And so like the entire amount of bugs like ending up like on production now is just greatly reduced.
Yeah. Same for us. Like it's the most stable Trackstack's ever been because of that.
I told you this as well, right? Yeah. Like I mean, I'm using Trackstack every week.
We have a support guy and he's like, I kind of run out of tickets. And we were like, seriously, like 6 months ago, it was like heavy.
The second thing is you'll run out of the support guy. It's like you put in an AI in place and it's like, oh, that's the sad part.
The funny thing is I think ethically, like, I really like it when it's a person.
Yes, I agree.
And I think people who use it do really appreciate it.
Our support person, Cameron, he is an absolute champ. Yeah, he knows.
We got Ramen. He's in Bali as well.
It's amazing. It's amazing. Like and he's a shield for me, you know, of all these requests coming in, and then he knows exactly who to direct what to. So that like when there's like an issue with, let's say, metadata, we have a person for this, you know. If it's like an engineering problem, someone else, you know, it's like he knows by now like all the ins and outs, which is amazing.
It's the same for us. Yes. Like we've got this QA system that works really well. And if something needs to be escalated where it's like too like niche, so to speak, where I need to look at our infrastructure usually, then he, you know, messages me directly. And it's really good, man, because it gives us, you know, what I've noticed is as we've grown and we move away from just like, you know, getting to market, which is like we're past that stage. Yep. It's space to think about the moves because the moves get a bit bigger and the moves get like more, the stakes are high. You know, you can't just like run things and implement things without that having a knock-on effect for everyone else. Yes. So now I'm prioritizing more space to just think about what we're doing because of AI, you can move really fast. So it's not like you're in a rush like you used to. Because like when you make the decision, you know it's going to be quicker than, say, 6 months. Like, you know, last year we were trying to figure out what this whole thing is and it came together. So this year it's like, cool, here's the roadmap. But in every case of those items in the roadmap, it's like, are we super clear on what we're doing? Because before we just like get this laser beam of Claude and all this stuff and be like, build. It's like we need to point it and make sure it's going to build it right. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's interesting, right? Because at the beginning, when we first released Songstats, if you, for example, have only 5 data sources, and then if you add the 6th one, that's like a 20% addition to like the usefulness of your software, right? Like that's great. But then you add the 7th, the 8th, the 9th, the 10th, the 11th. Now we're at like 15 plus or something like this. Now, whatever we work on, even though it's the same amount of like time that goes into implementing it and stuff, is only like an incremental sort of like improvement for the user, of value to the user, right? So what ultimately happens is now that we're also just working on bigger projects that take longer. But then once they come out, they actually like a 10% or 20% like value add to our users, right? And that's ultimately what we want to achieve. Because yeah, of course we could add another thing here, like a small increment, but like if that takes some engineering time and like obviously we're not we're just I guess basically optimizing for different things now, right? There will always be the small incremental improvements, and it's actually like a lesson that we learned a bunch. Is like after shipping a bigger feature, you really almost have to give it another like couple of weeks minimum to really support that feature and make sure it's working well, get all the feedback in, and basically iterate fast. Because anyone that's using the new feature then will actually like expect quick updates to it, especially like if something doesn't work or if something could be better. It's like make it quick so they see that you're actively improving it. That's, I think, from a user perspective, really, really valuable. And I mean, I can only say that in our space, which is basically cross-platform music analytics, we were always sort of like the underdogs to some degree. We were sort of like no venture capital, completely bootstrapped, self-funded, and artist first. All of like the tech that we built was always from the artist level up, where all the other companies were like from the data science down. And like for us, it was always like, no, we want to prioritize the artist. We want to prioritize the user experience, make it cool, make it fun, make it actionable, make it cool. So ultimately now what's happening is that everything that we're building is being copied. Like it's actually crazy. And I mean, I really wanted to do like a blog post about this or something, but Evan doesn't want me to. But our competition, like if you look at like their change logs or like their product updates from like the last 2 years, it's basically only copying everything that we've done. And I really wanted to put out like a thing of like saying like, hey, if you want to use the software that is like in the future, that like basically the others will release these features in like a year or 2 years from now, then use Songstats, because it's actually crazy how little innovation there is from others. I'm looking at their product updates to also try and get inspired, by like, oh, they're doing something cool.
Yeah.
They're never doing something cool.
Yeah.
They're just building the features we released 2 or 3 years ago,
Yeah. Yeah.
It's crazy.
We noticed we haven't like had a lot of it yet, but we hear and see it bubbling.
Yeah.
And I always come back to like, how do you deal with that? How do you think about that? And it's kind of like any company that's making a product, take trainer companies, so many different options for trainers, but some products and some brands just have a certain resonance and vibe about them. And you just prefer to be in that product. It just feels better, like Slack, there's loads of Slack alternatives I've tried, but I just like Slack.
Yes, correct.
It just feels better.
Yeah.
And like, I think that's why, doing what you did, focusing on the artist, the user experience, is same principles for us.
Yeah.
And like, we have such a direct communication with everyone all the time, and any feedback, no matter how small, no matter how big their account is, it's not like we prioritize enterprise over, it's like we have a Slack channel and all the feedback goes in there.
Yeah.
And if it's good, we just reply, and within 24 hours, it's like, we did it.
Yeah.
And they're like, what? And it's like, yeah, because with Claude, you can, with AI, it's just so easy to do. Like, we had a guy who's like, massive email, like, I really like it, but, and it's like, okay. And then the but was like, I'd really love to see like where they played it on the waveform. Yeah. And like, for how long?
Yes.
I was like, it's not a hard feature.
I love that feature, by the way, because now I can see where I listen to already as well. Yeah. I use that.
They're like,
it's cool.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's super cool.
And we were like, how long will that take? It was like,
yeah.
And Oskar, one of our engineers, shipped it the next day.
Sick.
So we replied to him, it was like, we've shipped it. And he's like, what?
Do you guys? I love that.
Yeah.
I mean, we're doing that a lot with like enterprise API feedback. It's like, oh, can we also request by like Apple Music ID? It's like, boom, done.
Yeah.
Like literally the next email 2 hours later, it's like, yeah, it's done now. So
that's what going back around to like the companies that are kind of in where we are at, like bootstrapped, very like smaller. The leverage on AI is crazy.
Yes.
It's like there is no need for VC.
Yeah.
The only money you'd need is if you were doing like a massive campaign for growth. But then there are so many different options for that type of thing. You don't need VC unless, the only time like I think it's good is if you want to take the whole market.
Yeah.
And you're going in AI or something like that. But then a lot of these AI startups I see is like you would have been better off like bootstrapping it and just taking the long run.
Yeah, but also the growth of a lot of these companies is sort of artificial because you have the VCs, they throw in cash in, and then what you need to do is you basically they need to grow because they have that like constant pressure in the back. And instead of focusing on making a cool product that people want to use with a good UI, like you mentioned with Slack. For example, we use Slack in a way now where we have like a bot set up, like an API. So every time we deploy, you receive notifications. Like all of our devs receive a notification that what was deployed with the deployment, like which commits were in there, and so it's super easy for everyone to just like follow, what has been done. It's so great, and they have a good mobile app. We switched also from GitLab to GitHub, for example. We were on GitLab before.
GitLab, old school.
Old school, yeah. It was a bit more like, okay, it's not Microsoft, whatever. But like ultimately, like GitHub was like much more better.
Cool. It was like built by engineers.
Exactly. But the GitHub mobile experience is sick. You get like push notifications. I can literally like review PRs like on the phone and stuff. Yeah. It's like crazy. And then now it incorporates with Codex and all these things. So it's like, okay, that's worth spending a day or two to like switch all the repos over and all this stuff, and the deploys. And then now it's great. And, I think for these big capital companies, they basically throw so much into advertising. That's why it's so, I think we tried advertising. We tried advertising on Google. We tried it on Meta. And like, it's just not worth it. Like, I don't know, because the CPMs are so high of what you need to pay to get a couple of like installs or a couple of like users in, that ultimately, like, I'm wondering like who actually makes money from this. And honestly, like I personally am under the belief that some companies that are in the growth phase, they overpay just so that they get more users. So just like basically on the bottom line, they can say we're growing, but they're not actually profitable. But for us, there's always this one constraint, which is we need to be profitable and we need to be cost effective.
It's the same for us. We have to make more than we spend.
Exactly.
Like this still now, where every month it's like a sit down and we review everything, and it's like, okay, can we cut that $10 subscription? It can be that minuscule.
Yeah.
We were a little bit like we had a big learning curve last year as founders, because we went from me, George, and like 2 people to 10.
Yeah, it's a big
step. And it
step.
was big, yeah. And we had to kind of, I think people started to realize that we were, available to like sponsor things, and there were jobs available, but not really like defined.
Yeah.
And, we just took on a bit too much. And that then put me and George in a very stressful position, which we had to kind of reflect on over Christmas and be like, okay, like, what are we doing this year? Are we like, are we building a team, or are we just going back to like, the old days? And we decided actually we're going to build this team and make a culture and make it cool. And it's been amazing. Like January is one of our best months.
It's the right move, but hiring takes time, and it takes time to find the right people that are in the right like mindset. But then also it takes time to get them, to mold them. You know?
Yeah. So we've still got a few teething issues, but it's just like, it's more like them, like as their own personal development as working professionals, not necessarily like the system or the platform. It's just people working with people, which is hard to deal with.
As long as you have a great culture and everyone is very self-sufficient. I find these are like the 2 things where it's just like, A, you have to just get along. B, they have to be hardworking by themselves. Like that's just the thing, we're not like constantly checking in on everyone, like
no,
I don't want to do it. Like, exactly.
Like, it's just like, or too much to do.
A lot of these corporate companies, they track people's like screen time and shit. Like this is like, this is just like gnarly shit, you know?
And like, I always remind the guys, I'm like, look, what we've created allows us to all live kind of our best life. And we always say to the guys, like, we are not trying to make this like some weird overlord experience. Like, yes, we have Slack and you need to tell us what you're up to, but that's kind of it. Like, if you want to work from Bali, cool.
Yeah.
You can work from Bali and just check in when you want.
Yeah.
If you want to take a day off, cool. Like, if you need to go to the gym and like, go to a doctor appointment, it's cool. We're not like logging that, but there's a lot of trust in that to 100%. Deliver.
Yeah.
And we feel it when the delivery goes down. We feel it when the delivery goes up. Some weeks people are really on it. Some weeks people have some things going on.
That's very good. That's normal. We feel that the same. And I think every person has sort of their ups and downs, personal stuff happening.
Exactly. But we don't like keep forcing them when they're in their down.
Yeah,
exactly. That's when people feel like they need to go.
Yeah.
When you push people when they're in their down bit.
You wanna improve the culture of the team and build trust, outside. And then honestly, at that point, people know themselves that, you know, they've been down and they're going to grind extra hard, you know, the next week, you know, they know they need to catch up, or they work ahead. Like a lot of times, you know, people are like, oh, I have this thing next week, I'm going to work like extra hard this week so I can like
enjoy that.
Yeah. And that's
it's
the best.
The same for me and George as well.
Same.
We don't have different rules for us. We try and do the same thing.
For sure.
Like we check in and we put in what we did, and there's no like, okay, only you guys do it. And we have the same like work schedule, but at the same time, we also want everyone to feel like they can go as deep as they want on the skills that they're bringing to the table. So we're always like, if you want to do a course, if you want to like do something else alongside it, just let us know. Talk to us about it.
Yeah.
And then people usually kind of go off and find their own way to improve.
Right.
But that's been the biggest change for us, is bringing everyone together, transparency in the team, asynchronous, fully remote. It's hard to get that right when you're not in the same building.
Yes.
But I think if you have some good rituals, and not many, it's literally like everyone says what they did yesterday and today. That is more than enough to just keep a flow of what's going on. And then just a weekly meet.
Perfect. That's exactly what we do. It's a Monday meeting. Everyone catches up. You can like ping the people that you need that week, and you can sort of reflect on what's going on. And everyone's like on the same page of like what's happening, you know, where everything is going, and so what's on the roadmap. I love that. I mean, you've been secretly, I know because I have the inside scoops, but there's like a lot of great things that you have planned for this year. So I think everyone can be really excited for the new Trackstack features coming this year.
Yes.
It's pretty cool.
It's going to be good, man. Yeah. Roadmap 2.0. So yeah, Trackstack OS. Yeah.
Yes.
So that was like the whole, since we started, all of the thinking, customer development, research, talking to people, and just seeing it as it is.
Yeah.
Just coming together into, okay, like, we said that we started it to help people have successful careers, right?
Yep.
But there was so much underneath that.
Right.
And I think now the platform reflects the actual structural things people do to make it work, to make their career work when you talk to people behind the scenes. And that was like the biggest unlock. And part of what we're doing this year is to just open up that conversation to artists and to the industry. Like, yeah, okay, make tracks, get signed, play, but there's a whole other side of this that is the reality of how you live, work, and like actually claim that you are like a full-time electronic music professional, right?
Yeah.
Because the shiny hot DJ that tours, yes, that's like a part of the journey, but it's not for everyone, and not everyone gets to experience that.
Yeah.
And some people don't want to do it like that. They just want to make music and be in the craft of it and maybe play out, but they want to do it differently. And I think all the products that we've made kind of reflect the evolvement that you can go through from starting your first track on Ableton, sending it, getting your first label signing, getting your first DJ support, making your first like bit of revenue, and then growing your sort of fan base up to the point where you could then launch into bigger realms of your artistic, like your artistic side. Because if you're only dependent on others to grow and break through, it's way harder now.
Yeah.
And it used to be you could get signed to a couple key labels and then they would generate movement, but it's much harder now.
Yeah.
And so now you need kind of your own capital to get yourself going, to pay for the campaigns, to market yourself, to travel to these places,
of course,
and to actually invest in your own party or your label, which are the things that you need to do to kind of put your stamp on the ground, right? Because when you go to ADE and Off Week and Miami Music Week, you know, they're like collective people that put on the parties.
Yeah.
You know, it's labels that put on these parties and they choose who plays, and typically those artists have been signed. And everyone else is like, oh, I really want to play at that party. Yeah. It's like, well, the guys who run the label and run the party, like they're the ones that are really doing it. So why don't you put it on? Yeah, okay, the first one you're going to do is just going to be your friends.
Yeah.
And one of the best stories I've had from Trackstack is that exact story. There's a guy called Creed. He's a DJ from London. Great guy. We he's in our friendship group, and initially he didn't really use Trackstack. He was a bit like, I don't really need that. That was like a classic response in the first few years. People had their own network.
Sure.
Then he tried it out and got signed to a few labels. And I remember in Miami Music Week, he came up to me and he said, I'm doing my pop-up show in Miami, my first one. And I was like, no way, that's cool. And he was like, yeah, you know, I got signed to Trackstack a few times and I thought, yeah, I'm ready to take this to the next level.
Yeah.
And that was like really reaffirming, because it's not necessarily about the hard outcomes of like getting played, getting supported, getting signed that happen on the platform. It's more like how it increases your confidence in taking more risk and investing more into it, into yourself, because you can be sat in your room making the best music ever, but at some point you have to
show people. You have to get the music out. I mean, it's similar, right? Like I think if you send 50 demos to 50, or this demo to 50 labels, you know, there's a chance that one really vibes to it. You know, if you don't send it at all, no one will vibe to it. You know, you have to get the music out there, and rejection is part of this, right? Like it's like opening a door every time. And then in the end, you get one. I mean, I can only speak, I mean, I use a Trackstack for our Don't Blink label, Low Ceiling. And now we're also running 1001 recordings from 1001 Tracklist in joint venture with Tomorrowland. And both of those labels run through Trackstack. Of course, we're also doing some sort of like more active A&Ring, especially Jacob on the 1001 recording side. And then, you know, also with Low Ceiling, we usually reach out to the artists that we really like and that we released before and just ask them if they have something new. But basically, every week right now, I go through about 500 demos on Trackstack, which is, I would never be able to do this through email, for example, right? And I ask everyone now that sends stuff on Instagram or an email. If we have an auto reply on email, just send stuff on Trackstack. It's so much nicer. We then collect sort of their contact information as well, so we can send out a newsletter. We grow this like network a little bit, which is really great, you know. And ultimately, for the artists, they get feedback even if it's a no. And that is actually really valuable feedback, because it's really annoying when there's no feedback at all, because you're just in limbo. You're like, did they not listen to it? Did they like, and that really is annoying, you know? It
messes with your head.
It messes with your head, you know, because you still have that like thought like, but I did send it to this label, you know, but it was like 4 weeks ago, and probably like it just gotten, you know, they get so many in every week, they're not going to catch up on it, you know, but you're still holding on to it, and it prevents you from actually just sending that track to 5 other labels and maybe get signed there, you know? So I think Trackstack is the best thing for artists, and is the best thing for label owners and also DJs, you know, to receive promos. So it saves me a ton of time. I mean, I'm able to go through that volume. I have my strategy with it now. Actually, I can talk about this.
Yeah.
So it's
I'm
actually
interested.
kind of cool. If you get so many demos, usually what I do 1 day of just basically, the first day is just filtering. So I usually like let it like pile up for maybe a week or two max, a maximum 2 weeks. And then like at that point, I go through everything in 1 day, and I basically filter out everything that's just not a good fit. Like either musically, like from the genre, from the production quality, or because it's maybe some remix of a big song or something that just, we cannot release this, you know, like there's this like initial filter, right? So then all the stuff that I'm interested in that like sounds good in that moment, or like sort of like checks the check boxes, I leave in, or like I heart it so I can get back to it later. And then basically I take a break. Because the thing is, after listening to like 500 tracks, you don't even know what's good or what's not good anymore. Like it's really hard to, at that point, like still evaluate like, oh, this is actually really good. Or because it's better to just like rest your ears. That's like the same thing if you worked on a track for way too long in the studio. At some point, it's just better to just let it sit and come back with fresh ears the next day, right? So then the next thing then on the next day is I might have done like a selection of, let's say, 30. That made it through that like initial filter. And with those, then at that point, I'm really like going in, comparing them, listening closer. And then usually that sifts out another like 15 or 20. And then what I do is I put my laptop on full volume, stand up, and just listen to the last 10 tracks from beginning to end. Like, and I just try to dance to them.
Yeah, see if it actually is. See
if the arrangement works, if it makes me moving, you know, and envision if I were to play them out. Because so with Low Ceiling, I really want to say our philosophy with Low Ceiling is always music first. Screw the algorithm, screw what streams well, whatever. It's for the dance floor. It's what we want to play. So it's basically if we want to play it as Don't Blink, you know, trust our taste. I release it even if the artist has only 300 followers and that's their second release.
That's a great
It
way
doesn't
to do it,
matter,
man.
right? Yeah, yeah. So that's what we stand for with low ceiling. So ultimately now I listen to everything, and then of course from those 10 people I check out their profiles a little bit, checking if they are actually taking their artist career seriously as well a little bit, or maybe checking as well like where they're from. But low ceiling is truly international at this point. Like we have a great fan base in Argentina, for example, and generally in South America. They just love this like relentless tech house sound, But then now we're signing guys from Japan, from Indonesia, from the US, from Canada.
So you're finding the label is growing in its imprint from it because of the access being so easy.
Yes, correct.
This is my exact point. Is like you can start to build out a different level of audience, and then that is then used to power your tours and your shows and where you go and how you network people, because having the locality of those people means they know the logistics of their city better than you ever could. So you can connect with the guys in Argentina and they're like, yeah, we know a venue. Yeah, we'll sort out. We'll look after you. Like we'll do stuff on our side. You do your bit. And like that's what's creating all of it.
They love it. And I mean, when I was on tour in Argentina, I actually ordered merchandise for Low Ceiling to Argentina so I can hand it out to some of the artists that we signed so they can rep it, And the crazy thing is that actually like for them, Low Ceiling is such a reference point that they put in their Instagram bio that like they released on Low Ceiling. It's like one of these badges that's usually like for Tour Room or Defected or something. Hot
that's
creations.
Cool, man.
That's like for us, that's a great sign, that we are onto a sound that
a
reputation and like people like the most important thing I think for any label is sort of that you have a consistency of music that people trust, so that when you have a new release coming and we have a new release every week, they want to listen to it, because there's like say like 80% chance that ends up in their set. If that's the case, that's like a label that you want to follow, because why else do you follow a label? You can follow artists, of course, and that's actually easier on Spotify and also on Beatport, of course, you can follow artists. But like to follow a label, you just have to basically trust that whoever curates the label and who's the A&R and what that label stands for and the sound is what you vibe to. And that allows you to actually discover new artists, right? So suddenly, like maybe we put someone on the map for you that you didn't hear of. And then suddenly we have that like release that you really vibe to, that from an artist that you never knew, right? So that's the best thing that a label can do. Man. Exactly.
Yeah. Because it's not always, if you go on numbers and not on the track, then you're alienating people who are trying to get started.
Yes.
Who might have a fresher set of ears, different cultural
the new generation.
Influence. Yeah, like different ways of producing, different ways of sound selection. And ultimately it nurtures the actual grassroots of the industry, because my belief is it all, like the electronic music industry, it all starts with the track. Like if there's no track, there is no industry.
Of course.
So like if you don't make the people who are at the start of the journey feel valued, then there is no industry. It shrinks.
Yeah.
Because they're the ones that are investing at, when you put all of them together at volume, they're the ones that are buying all the sample packs, buying all the plugins, investing in all the education and the courses and the one-to-one, supporting the upper levels.
Yes.
So without respecting the fact that the loop and the track is the most sacred part of it, is the what is giving it all its life.
Yeah.
Then you're kind of defeating the point. So when I had that sort of realization, when we first started Trackstack, it was like I used to, and I still do, I believe, if you're not open for tracks in any capacity, then it says a lot about like you. I'm not saying every DJ isn't open for tracks. Of course, they're available and accessible. But I do think that being open for tracks and making that as easy as possible, despite that it might be additional work, is good for your career.
Yes.
And I've noticed some DJs have split off now, and there's two types of DJs. There's like concert DJs, and then there's like underground DJs.
Yeah.
And the concert DJs don't take this as seriously as much anymore because they're just like in the concert world of like, they're just a superstar.
Sure.
But then you've got people like Jamie Jones, who, is a superstar, still will sign someone who's like just about to break through.
Yeah.
Who's like 1,000 followers.
It's very cool.
Give them a chance.
Actually, like the hot creations curation really surprises me often. which I love for a label. It's not super predictable, like where, other labels is just the same sound again and again and again and again. But with Hot Creations, you really find some big diamonds, from people you never knew. And that's amazing. It's kudos to Jamie. And it's amazing. It's but that's what labels are about. That in my mind,
that's the whole point.
That's the whole point.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, I see it now from both ends, because with low ceiling, we have the complete do-it-yourself approach, where we're an artist label, but we always kept low ceiling very separate actually from Don't Blink. Like we're not really like associating ourselves or inserting ourselves too much with it. So low ceiling can stand by itself almost in a way. That was always sort of like the idea. But now we have 1001 Recordings, and that's a joint venture with Tomorrowland. So we have two big teams, and then the distribution is actually done through major labels, through Universal.
Okay.
So there's like a lot of big parts, and also like the initial goal was just to do one release a month. We're a little bit above that now. We're releasing more frequently, because there's a lot of good music coming in. But but let's say you only have one release a month. At that point, you need to be like hyper selective, right? And with Tomorrowland and also with us, and we're of course very strong with 1001 Tracklist on socials, and Tomorrowland is very good at storytelling and of course creating these big live experiences. The goal is always to find a track that can almost tell a bigger story, but Tomorrowland already has their own label, and that label is primarily like for their sound, and it's like a lot of amazing artists on there, right? And so with us now, we're definitely like dance floor first, and even though that makes it harder, because if you look at like the economics of a label, like most of the money and most of the revenue is coming from streaming. Like if you think like, on Beatport, you can be a number one in Bass House or something for a couple of weeks. Yeah, I mean, even if you're the number one there for a couple of weeks, you maybe make like $1,000 or something like this. And then it gets split out between like, the artists and the label. And then with us now, it gets split as well with Tomorrowland. And then the distributor takes their cut. In the end of the day, like not much. But if you make a record that gets 10 million streams, there's some bread there, And so for a label now that wants to also invest in their artists and like push, on the promotion side, on the advertising side, and of course on the live side as well, that's a little bit more difficult, And I can totally see, for a lot of artists now, they're being smart. I feel like there's a shift happening at the moment in the industry where, these big established labels that have been around for a long time, that are almost like company labels, I would say.
Yeah.
They lose a little bit of like relevancy, I feel like personally, but that's more my personal feeling. What's happening now is that the big artists that are currently very, very trendy, they all start their own labels.
Yeah,
they have their own
standard.
Yes, and I feel like coming out of COVID, I feel the industry really matured in that way, where before you had these like established like juggernauts sort of, and everything was running for them.
Yeah.
And now what's happened is that the electronic music scene for me became like a lot of bubbles. Like, and you can be part of a lot of multiple bubbles as a listener, as a fan. You can really like Keine Musik on one side, and you can really like Boris Brejcha, and then you can also still like John Summit. You just
I think people are more varied. They're not just like, I'm just here.
Exactly, and you can represent that, and in a way now what's happening is, for example, let's take John Summit as an example. Experts Only is like probably like the most hyped label right now. Period.
For sure.
Like for like a newcomer like label that's only been around for like 2 or 3 years, with 1001 Tracklist, every year we release a state of dance music, which is our report that we just published like a couple of weeks ago, where we look at like the biggest tracks of the year, and also the biggest like labels of the year.
That's cool.
Because we have our top 101 producers that comes out in October, and that's based on like the production of the artist. But then we do the state of dance music, which looks at the actual tracks and the labels. And Experts Only, I think, was number 6 or something. And for like an independent label that only releases like a release like every 2 weeks or so on average, it's actually like crazy. Like because
but
of course
that's a maturation of the American audience size when they pick up a genre,
for sure,
because they're always like a couple years behind.
So
they move from like one popular genre to like another one, and then there's like a big adoption, and there has been
once
a massive
once
one.
they find something for themselves, it's full on it, all in.
Yeah.
And it's so cool to see. So ultimately now, though, what John is doing is he's very smart. He knows that if he plays out a track on a big arena show and gets that footage and gets that content, everyone would want to buy it. So why not sign it first? You know, you get
It's
all
a
these
smart strategy.
You get all
It's
these
a,
great
like,
promos.
101 strategy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You sign it first. You know, now they have a new art mob coming out, an awesome tune. You know, and yeah, it comes out on experts only. It's a great chance for art mob to play some experts only events. He's doing festivals now, all this stuff, and ultimately John gets 50% of that record. You know, so if that gets like 10 million streams, it's great. You know, all the investment into it pays off. You know, it's very smart, and I think like. So the economics work out in that way now where the big artists, it's better for them to focus on their own. And honestly now, this year for us with Don't Blink, we will focus big time on Low Ceiling. All of our big releases will come out on Low Ceiling.
Okay.
And it's actually interesting because beforehand, we always tried to send the big releases first to other labels to try to get them signed there.
You're going to do it your way
Yes.
and own it. Yeah,
And
that sounds correct.
And Low Ceiling for us was almost like always like sort of the backup plan. It's like, oh, we have our own label. So if we need to fill like a gap of releases between the big ones.
But now you're heading it.
Exactly.
Yeah,
now
that is
it's
the right
falling.
strategy.
Yeah, I think so.
That's what the guys are doing.
Yeah, we have 100% control over it. We get full all the revenue from it. So that
Yeah.
means we can also invest in it. And
Yeah.
if we invest in it, now we are doing some more collaborations, bringing on some other artists.
But then you use the data of where your audience is, where your tracks were coming from, to then know where to
Exactly.
focus
It's great, yeah.
the marketing and the tours and the label showcases, and you just bring the artists that have been signed, and
Yes.
then some, you know, like
Correct.
and that's I believe that's proper A&R, and that's proper fostering like culture
Yep.
in those places. And so it's not so like at these mega spots like Ibiza and Miami and London and so on. Of course, those things always need to exist, always. But I think it's important that labels also go where their artists are coming from.
Yeah.
And like make sure that the sound is being presented there as well, even if it's not near or in the hottest spot where electronic music like really thrives, because that's becoming increasingly more competitive.
For sure.
There's only a small amount, there's only a limited amount of people that can go to a rave every weekend.
Oh yeah, and that changed as well. I feel like if you look at club culture, for example, in Germany, I sort of feel like okay, maybe some of the young kids are still going out on the weekends, but usually like especially after COVID now, I feel like people are saving more money, not going out every week, and then they save themselves for one big event. You know, they go to Ibiza or they go to Tomorrowland or something like this.
Or something.
Exactly,
Drum sheds in London.
Exactly, do a big event and have a proper night out with their lads, you know, or their friends.
I don't know if that's a good thing, because I remember in my early days in London, it was more like you would do a couple nights in the week, and then you'd go to like smaller places, and it wouldn't be these Goliath mega events. And then those things started to come in, like Paradise Drum Code, where they come in, they do these like mega day parties at these huge venues.
Yes.
And like Printworks and Tobacco Dock, and it would be like all the hottest DJs playing everywhere,
Big
and
production,
everyone would be
lineups.
coming in, right?
Yeah.
And to be fair, it's still really good, but at the same time, the volume of them, it can draw so many people in that it can take away from like people trying to do their first thing.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy how like the big production comes in, then everyone wants that. But then honestly, now I feel like people are a little bit over the big production again. I sort of feel like they're a little bit overstimulated.
Make small parties great again.
I 100% agree. That's a great motto. Because like the big production, like I think everyone has seen now the big screens. Everyone has seen these like big like visuals and stuff like this, where like everyone's there with the phone. And at the beginning, you know, when that first came out, everyone wanted to take a video because they can post on socials and get their views and show that off or whatever. But now there's nothing special anymore. I think the pinnacle of this was like Anima playing at the Sphere. You know, that was like the proper pinnacle of it. And now I feel like they're trying to do more interesting stuff again. You know, now they're doing stuff at the pyramids and stuff. You know, you always need to one up yourself with this. But now, like, I feel like now it's cool if it's just a rave, no screen, just
dark,
good sound system. Exactly.
Smoke
dark,
machine
low
in the
ceiling,
corner.
Sweat dripping off the walls. Like fucking,
one strobe light. Let's go, yeah.
Let's go. Good grooves. Dude. Yeah, it's great.
They were good. You can still get them in England. Like
actually like at Amsterdam when there was music on, I think it was like 2 years ago, great lineup. 3 stages. That last stage, the third stage, was like in some basement where like literally you can touch the ceiling.
Perfect.
And it was just amazing. We were down there for like hours. Just when the wall of bass just hits you, dude, it's the best.
So good. Yeah. No, I think the resurgence of small parties is something that we really want to encourage.
Yes.
And kind of inspire in people, because I think when you are starting to think about that and you look at, say, the bigger events, you're like, well, I could never do that.
Yeah.
It's like, but it doesn't need to be that. It can just be like 100 cap, 50 cap. Yeah. And you just make great content, and it's just like really intimate, but you get to play and you get to put on something, and it's your vibe. I would talk to people about it, and they want it to be grander. And I'm like, be careful.
The thing is, you also don't have such a strong connection then with the crowd if it's such a big show. You know, you actually let the visuals speak, or the pyro or the lasers, you know, and okay, if that's your brand and that's why people come to your show, that's like the concert thing that you talked about, right?
Yeah.
But like the thing is, like, if you see like a small venue where the crowd is literally right there with you, and then you're crushing it, you know, it's like the typical boiler room effect, you know, everyone's there with you, and it's just about that, you know, and you can appreciate the actual production, you can, like, of the music, you can appreciate, you know, the transitions, exactly. And being there with the artists and being sweaty, you know, and it's like, I think that's for me, it's actually a better vibe than, you know, being like 50 meters away from someone up like 10 meters in the air, you know, and just standing there, and like, it's like, okay, cool.
I don't really like it. It's a lot of reverb. That you can't really hear it. Just like, oh, is that house music? Okay, oh, I know that vocal. You know, and then you just kind of waddle around, walk around, talk to people, and then you go home. Like, that's what happens for me personally. I know other people have a different time, but at these big parties, it's like a lot of talking, some music. Yeah. But then whenever I go to a smaller party, I'm in the music. I'm really in the music.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? I think they opened a mega club here, like in Bangkok, that's like trying to one up sort of like
the immersive one.
No, it's a different one. I forgot the name now, but it's basically trying to one up like High Ibiza and Universe, and they had their opening like for New Year's. They had Art Bat, and then they had Martin Horger and a couple others, and I actually went for New Year's, and it's like, it's so massive, that screen, and it's so crazy, the sound system and stuff. It almost like makes you nauseous, and it's so big that you need so many people to fill that room. It's like, I don't know, it misses the vibe, you know? It's like you try all this like technical things to throw on, but it's missing the vibe. It's the same thing that we talked about with websites, you know? You can, like, if an app just doesn't feel correct, you know, it can be a super simple app. If it feels good and it fulfills like your need, is nice, it's done, right? Like, and I think a lot of clubs, it's you know, there's some clubs that just work, you know, the sound works, the people, the logistics of it, you know, it's not easy actually to get that magical sort of like
the furniture layout,
exactly, everything,
the room layout.
Some other venues, you know, they have all the same ingredients, but it just doesn't click, you know, it's strange, right?
It feels like, cold, or it doesn't. Yeah. It's like it is really hard to get it right. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, I
agree.
Yeah.
I mean, I think pound for pound, the best like saturation of this is Ibiza. Like, all the venues in Ibiza that are there are just amazing. I don't know how
it's really well done.
They have so much experience with this, but it's just, you can go to any party and like, it's amazing.
Yeah,
it's just amazing. But also true. The people that go there also in the mindset to make an amazing party. Like, everyone's like in the right mind. And but even though I do hope that also there's less phones in Ibiza moving forward, because like the last like couple of years were also a little bit like frustrating with the phones and policies with this. So
I haven't been to Universe yet.
I went one time.
Any good?
It was Elro, so it was crazy. And Max Styler was playing, which it was very special. Like, it was last season, but I mean, Elro is always great, but like Elro also can be like before, like, I think at Elro at Universe was significantly better than Elro at Amnesia, I felt.
Okay.
And already
I wasn't a big fan of Amnesia.
And already Elro at Amnesia was also great, to be honest. But like at Elro, it was another level. It was really great.
I've not done an Elro party yet. I think that's
You've never done an Elro?
That's so embarrassing.
Dude, I've probably done like 10 of them. I love Elro.
Okay, well, we got to do one this year.
Jacob loves Elro too.
We need to do one this year.
Yeah. Done. Deal.
Yeah. Me and at AD, me and George went to George really likes progressive house, like Frankie Wah, Guy J.
Dude, Evan loves it as well.
Seriously. Evan and George, you'll listen to us. Yep, it's classic.
Yeah.
we went to one of his favorite parties, and to be honest, it was sick.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
it's
was
really
dancing the whole time at the back. It's not like, the tech house parties, you have like a good track and then one track just like doesn't quite hit and you go out of the room.
Yes.
This was just like, I'm staying.
It keeps moving. Yeah. That's great. There's so much good music. Like actually like the great thing I like about festivals and stuff is like when you discover artists that you've never heard before, Of course you go to a festival.
That's the best one.
Yeah. You go to a festival and you like have the lineup, and of course there's like a couple artists that you really want to see, but maybe you saw them before. But then there's the lineup, and then there's like these gaps and you're just like, oh, let's stay on this stage.
Yeah. Let's go over there.
Exactly. Yeah. And then it's just.
Yeah. We're going to Lost Village this year, which is like that. There's no like big headliners. It's just like eclectic.
Perfect.
And you just wander around.
Yeah. Yeah. I played Fusion Festival last summer, which is amazing. And they don't really care at all about the lineup. All the artists are getting the same fee. And none of the artists that played the year before can play this year, which is awesome. So it completely rotates.
That's really good.
It's awesome.
That's some good rules.
Awesome. These are good rules. And then they always use like a local brewery as like the beer that they sell and stuff.
It's in Germany, right?
Yeah, it's awesome. The culture there, the culture at Fusion is super.
I've heard Fusion is heavy.
Yeah. No, it's fun. I mean, people can go for like the whole week. We didn't do the whole week, but you camp there. Like it's huge, the ground, and like the vibe and the culture, and I don't know, it feels like a big family just having a camping session with good music. So like it's really.
We're doing 2 festivals a year, and I haven't done like British camping festivals in ages, and they're always really special.
It's amazing.
They're special.
Yeah. I mean, I would do a couple more festivals this summer. Don't Blink is doing really well.
Yeah, how's it? Because you are touring way more now. How are you sort of finding that growth?
Yeah, I mean, Don't Blink has been doing amazing. This last year was really strong for us. I mean, we've really honed in on who we are as Don't Blink, what we stand for. I think that was like a really important factor to like really know. Like, so first of all, we're only playing our own music doing our shows or sets, like even at after parties now. I played like 3 or 4 hour after parties, only playing our own vibe, and people are vibing for it. With the after parties, of course, we also play low ceiling and stuff, but like it's doing all the big sets, like even if it's 2.5 hours, we're only playing our music. It's really, it changed sort of the narrative, because before we were making music to, get signed to some label or something, you're like, oh, I would really like to get signed to Experts Only. You like checking what kind of like stuff that they are making or releasing, and then you try to match your sound into that. It's actually kind of ridiculous if you think about it, because ultimately now what we're doing is we're making music for our sets, for our tour. So when we're like, we're on tour now in Thailand, in Australia, then Argentina and Brazil. Now this month I'm going for the first time to India and to Korea, actually.
No way.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. And
no way. Korea?
Yes, Korea for the first time.
They want to dance to it in Korea?
I think so, yeah.
When are you going to Korea?
End of the month, yeah.
This month?
Yes, yeah. So this month is a little bit of a slower month because we're also working on a lot of music, and we got our US visa. I got my US visa. Sick. So in April, we're going to come to the US for our first tour, first touchdown in the US. So that's kind of cool as well, because that's a really exciting market for us, because we've never done something there. Yeah. But so generally now, though, the way that we approach the production now is that we're like, no, there's a tour coming up in Thailand. So we know the vibe there is maybe a little bit more indie dancey, a little bit more progressive. So then the tracks that we make is for that tour, is for those shows. And then the next one is in Australia, and that's a bit more housey. They really like house music. Yeah. They really love the Affected, and like, so then that is focused on, on making something a little bit more house grooves. And then we were in Argentina, and they loved the big rolling bass lines, the relentless. So then we worked on this. Now we're actually like really looking forward to the US tour. So working on a little bit of the US sound at the moment to see, which could also obviously resonate well with labels there, but we'll see how that plays out. But like generally now, as I said, focus on low ceiling, focus on sort of like our own tour, our own stuff. And it's been working really well. I think people really trust us now with the direction that we are making music. Before, I think so many resident DJs love playing our stuff because it's made for the dance floor. Like it's, and we never copy ourselves. That's another belief. We're never copying other people.
You're just doing what comes through, yeah.
Exactly.
That's such a good way to do it, man.
Like as an example, we had this big track during COVID, was Vibration, and that did really well. It was like number 1 on Beatport. It got a lot of streams, and we were not ready, I feel like. Like we were not ready at that time to like tour, and we didn't have enough back catalog to like do our thing. And then so many labels approached us like, oh, can we get another track like Vibration? Can we do another thing like Vibration? We're like, no. Like, why get stuck in this now, in this realm, when in reality, you know, we want to challenge ourselves, we want to move on, we're going to continue. And I think people appreciate, and we come back to what we talked about with Low Ceiling, where people, I think any release that comes out with a Don't Blink like name on it, people would want to listen to. And if we have like an 80% plus chance that they would add it to their playlist or add it to their record box, that's like all the trust we need, you know. And we had a lot of resident DJs, I think, at the beginning, you know, that really loved what we're doing. And we did a couple of like shows off the back of that, you know, at the beginning, which I think is sort of like the natural progression, you know, as an artist. You know, people play your music, then they discover you, and then they want to meet you or like hang out. And, you know, but now is really like the next phase for Don't Blink, where, you know, we curate sort of our own vibe and our own sort of community, our own bubble, you know. And with Low Ceiling and a couple of artists like Fab Massimo, who's like, we've been playing with him in Argentina, and he was on our label. He was actually a label manager for Low Ceiling a couple of years, and like he's doing really great now, and he's basically made his artist career like full time now, which is awesome to see, you know. It's a big step, you know. And he's a doctor actually, which is so crazy.
Oh, I love that.
And he's
I love when people step into artistry. I think everyone has it in them in a different way. It's not always electronic music, it can be anything, but yeah, I'm a big believer that like we all have that.
Yes. I think as an artist nowadays, you have to decide a little bit because the performing side is not for everyone. And you talked about this, right? Yeah, it's enduring. I mean, now with like all the touring that I'm doing, I already said like I don't think I can do more tours that I did last year, but I just want to do better shows, like bigger shows, or like
like less but better quality.
Maybe not less. This about the same amount I'm okay with, you know, because obviously we also want to try to touch like all the different like markets. Like actually our music it's truly international. It's like crazy, like you know, which is cool. But you know, now the goal is to go to every country one time a year. You know, so any region like one time a year. So we did Australia one time a year. We're probably going to do China for the first time also one time a year, and then India now for the first time. US might be more than once, but we'll see how that market plays out. But yeah, it's cool because for us now, like obviously you need a couple of like tricks, you know, to stay sane with all the traveling. Like now I see that, and I want to actually encourage like any artist that like actually like seeks this sort of like career of a touring artist, which I'm just tapping into now. It can be draining, it can be exhausting. You need to have like good routines with yourself, kind of be strict as well, because actually like for you playing every night or like every weekend is different than for the promoter that's so excited to see you, and that's like their big highlight for the month or something, you know. Because for you have the same thing tomorrow, and you want to give them the same energy and the same like experience that you gave the people before, you know. Like it's not fair if you get really like drunk on the first set of the week, and then basically you have to play the next day and you're like completely hungover, and like the crowd just doesn't get the same you know, energy from you than the night before. You know, that's not fair. So I think like generally now I'm really cautious about being very you know, healthy to some degree, you know, going to gym, like getting a hotel with like a gym or a sauna or something, you know. We can talk a little bit about like health in that too, or like supplements and all these things. There's like cool things to get into actually, or like travel hacks. But like generally now, like the second, and that's I think the most important part, is I think you have to step into becoming an artist and actually having that artist mindset. And I think for me that shifted last year at Tomorrowland when I saw all these other artists walk up on stage. Like if you see them, they embody what they stand for. Like if like Amelie Lens walks up on stage, just walking in the room, you're like, wow. You know, like not just because she's good looking, but that too, but like because she embodies what she stands for. And then she goes up on stage and she loves her sound, and you like get into it, you know. The same thing, I mean, I saw Swedish House Mafia for the first time at Tomorrowland too, and these guys, they show up and you're like, damn, yeah, you know, it's like I didn't really know what that everything was about, but like they come up and you're like, whoa, you know, you know what's up. And I mean, James Hype and all these guys, you know, they're all something. So if you want to make it to the level where you play a stage like Tomorrowland, I think you got to have that. And I think for that to happen, a lot of things need to go right. You know, I think you need to have a certain style around you, you know, like how you present yourself. Of course, social and content. like a good strategy and especially a good story. I think storytelling is so undervalued. Like you need to, tell people why that new track that is out now is out now. You cannot just post and be like, oh, out now. What about it? That's like, you don't tell people, you don't give them any context, any hook on what makes that track special. If you tell them, we made this track in a collaboration with Goom Gum. It's one of our first collaborations. It's a super emotional track. It's been the closing track of our sets for the last 3 months. It's super emotional. We're so excited for this release. It's called Hard Decision. It's out now. Please stream it or check it. You will love it.
Yeah.
In that moment, you're like, wow, like there's something there, like I want to check it out.
Yeah.
And then you keep that in your mind. It's like, oh, I could play this as the last song in my sets, for example, because they are doing it and it's working. And then you play it and you're so excited to play it. And then the crowd is going crazy. And then they Shazam it, they listen to it. And suddenly, like, it's all because you told them what makes that song special, right?
Interesting.
And I think that storytelling, I think a lot of artists are not doing it anymore, or they never started doing it. And I think we touched a lot about sort of the social media and sort of the creator economy before as well, where it's like social media has shifted so much where followers are not really followers anymore. And social media is not really social media anymore. It's like interest media now, where people are just like following an interest, and social media or interest media is very smart at like just like pocketing you into like, okay, this is what you want to see. And then you stay in that lane, right? So for you to like recurrently have sort of like that, sort of that engagement and a stronger connection with your fans is really difficult. And ultimately, the only way that you get booked for bigger shows is if you actually have fans that want to buy tickets, that want to buy merchandise. And the only way to do that is to convert them from saying, I like this, to I am this. So if you think about it, like, if you see Keine Musik playing and how many people you suddenly see with weird bandanas on their heads.
Yeah, they identify.
They identify as this. If you see like, for example, like Anima, and then all these guys wearing this like 44 label brand that's from
Corolla,
Berlin.
And everyone
exactly.
is in black.
Exactly. Yeah. It's basically you feel like you identify this, and music can be a great identifier for personality.
Huge. Yeah.
Yes.
It defines your style.
It defines who you are, what your friend group is, there's a whole character around you based on like the music that you listen to, right? Like, so for us now, the big challenge and the big like move that we're making with Don't Blink is we really try to curate like-minded people that love the sound that we make, that love the values that we stand for, they love low C, they love us, and basically like take them on a ride, take them on a journey with us. Sick. And they trust us. And I think since we made that step, we really like are fortunate that like now people love to invite us. We're playing bigger and bigger shows.
Yeah.
We're always coming back to the places that we played. I played Brazil for the first time. It was a huge show, 3,500 people.
Sick.
That was massive. We recorded the whole thing. Literally, I'm getting a call a week later from the promoter saying, we want you back in April, a bigger show, and I'm going to organize some other things. I'm like, amazing. Yeah. Let's go. Because any market that we played so far, they always want us back. And often they're like, oh, we want you exclusive. Like they're like eager because they know sort of what, where Don't Blink is headed, because our music is great. Yeah.
Yeah, they feel it. Like what you said, what you said, I think maybe that was a turning point for you to feel the energetics of people really up there.
Yes.
And be like, okay, I'm not there yet.
Yes.
I need to do that. And that's really, what you shared there was really important. I also want to go like a step back where people maybe are not even there yet. Mm-hmm. And say, it starts with some of those things, but to get to the part, like that's kind of like level 3.
Yes.
Right back at level 1, which is kind of like where we deal with level 1 and 2, is it's important to actually connect with the blocks that you have internally, like handling rejection, being able to be seen and like actually put your music out there. These are like the initial hurdles right at the start. Like, I made the track. Okay, does it sound right? I don't trust myself yet. I don't even trust this sound that I'm making. Is it ready to send? I send it. That they're all like these baby steps that you have to do that, of course, compound. And then at some point you're making tracks, you're sending tracks. And I think it's really important to always remember, like, you are the biggest block to yourself in like moving it forward, right?
Yes.
Like, yes, you can have all the tactics,
Yeah.
Of like, yeah, you need the right content, the right style, but all of those things happen when you like unblock yourself. Because if you're still stuck in the corporate job and you say, I'm this, then of course you can never be the other version that no one knows about you.
Right.
The one that you might only bring out to your partner or to your friends or to the club. Like there's a version of you in both realms. Yeah. And at some point you have to step over the line and be like, yeah, I'm this.
Yeah. I think it has to be a deep passion and the biggest hobby of yours. I think generally that is generally true. Like if you just enjoy it, like let's say you learn Ableton for the first time, right? There's so many courses out there. Like this is like learning an instrument, you know, you learn it by like, you learn piano by starting to play some easy melodies. Then you start to play like Mozart at some point or whatever. And then at some point you will jam out. At that point, it doesn't really matter sheet music anymore. At that point, you know the technicalities about your craft, right? Like you know the DAW, you know the plugins that you like to use. And at that point, it like, in the electronic music, that opens all the world to like, you can create any sound that you want. You can create any arrangement that you want, any BPM that you want. Anything is possible, right? So you have this like canvas. Then it's about like finding what drives you, something unique, you know? And I mean, if you look at like some big inspiration, for example, for us is Boris Brecher. Yeah. He's a machine in the studio, but he's the most structured person I've ever seen. Like it's like he makes a song and basically on the first day, he basically just prepares all the sounds, and then on the second day he arranges it and masters it, and that's it. And if it's not good enough after 2 days, he deletes the project and he starts the next one. Yeah, and that's crazy efficient to some degree. You know, we wouldn't do that. We'll probably recycle some sounds and stuff, but like it's just he knows his craft, he knows what he wants, and he's just doing it. And he at this point is just executing. So I think for anyone that's starting out, I think you need to decide between two things, which is like, one, do you want to be a producer and make music, or do you want to be a performer and actually like DJ, or do you want to be both, which takes double the amount of work basically, because it's almost two separate like entities in a way, right? Like you can become a producer and basically make music or make money off of the living of, and then the music is your product. You basically sell the music, you sell sample packs, you sell courses, you sort of like, and you make that your craft. And especially for like more introverted like personalities, I think it's often sort of like the direction that they're headed, you know, because it's really difficult, or you need to be very lucky, I think, to suddenly like break through with your music. And I think it's actually like, I don't know, if you look at all the big people that broke through in the last like 10 or so years, a lot of them are very open. A lot of them are very tall, actually. I'm not even kidding, but it plays a role. Like if you look at this, Calvin Harris is huge, right? Like as a person, like even like people like Max Styler is tall, John Summit is tall, like they're all tall. It's actually like the guys I think from Sidepiece are also relatively tall and stuff. Like it's actually kind of it makes a difference, right? Like just like how you present yourself, it's like, and how you look on camera, all these things. It's like weird, but it makes a big difference. So I think at some point you have to be realistic of like, okay, like can I actually like fulfill that role? Can I envision myself in this, and can I embody this? Because only then is when people actually like think that that's like you. And I think the most important thing is to be authentic. You know, if you cannot envision yourself being up on that stage and being that person and curating this around you, it's going to be really hard, you know? And honestly, it's not like a go there in one step. Like, I think one of the quickest rises with this was James Hype, I think, recently.
That's true.
And if you look at like videos from him, because I've looked at it recently, because he played the same venue that I now played. Yeah,
just he does a lot of vlogs, actually.
Yeah, he does. He's basically
he's a very transparent guy.
Very transparent, and he's like primarily a content creator at this point.
Yeah, he's a great content creator.
You love to follow him. You love like his storytelling.
I feel like I know his whole story. It's
exactly,
great.
It's amazing. And like at that point, that is a performer, right? And the music is secondary. He puts his tracks into the vlogs to promote it, right? And of course he's playing them, and then they go into top 10 on Beatport because his fans buy it primarily, but it's not actually like as strong of a production. And I don't think he even claims that he's the best producer in the world. So
he's an entertainer.
Yeah, he's an entertainer.
Yeah.
So then
he likes the rider being the performer. Yeah, it's
Exactly.
a different set of skills.
Yeah, but the great thing is he's making the music for his sets and for his shows, and then people love it, and his fans love it, and he's happy to play it, and he fills the gaps in his sets with cool edits and all this stuff, and that's great to see. And if you see him though 4 years ago, he was still like with a bandana and stuff and like weird hair, and now he's like how he matured in 4 years as an artist, and but already 4 years ago, we actually had him for the Top 101 Producers event. He was playing together with Medusa as well already back then. It was before like Our House and the whole residency that they have at High. But he was walking in to accept his trophy, and he was one of the only artists that walked in and really showed up as an artist. Like really showed up as an artist. Like you're like, whoa. Like he had that aura, in a way, right? And some other artists, they came in like, especially like I would say like the producers who are primarily producers, they're coming in, they're accepting their trophy, because we give trophies to everyone, and we take photos and it's great. And then the really big guys, they usually don't show up, or they send someone from their team to pick it up, and then they post about it later, or we send it to them, the trophy. But they're so busy during that week as well that it's not like not all of them show up. And of course, like if Don Diablo walks in or something, he looks like a proper artist, or someone like this. But like James Hype already then, and he was still on the rise. He walked in and he represented what he was standing for, and then you can feel it. And if you can feel it, other people can feel it. They want him more, fans can feel it. So I think as an up and coming artist now, you need to like look at that and look at that path. I started scrolling back on a bunch of bigger artists like Instagram as well, just to see what did Dom Dollar actually like do to fill these arena shows, and now to get like 50,000 likes on every photo. Like I was like, was this botted? Like what was the magic,
Yeah.
And you scroll back to the posts, and there's still posts like back in the timeline with only like 500 likes, like because not so many people do that. But you can see a consistent rise. There's not like, there's good releases, and you can see every release pushes it over like another thing, a bigger show pushes it over another hurdle. And then just the average keeps rising. It's like step by step. So he's in this like grind set, where it's just like boom, boom, boom. And like the same thing with Max Styler right now, the same thing with John Summit, the same thing with all of these guys, they're breaking through. And honestly, that's what we're in the same grind set right now with Don't Blink,
You are, man.
Like we're like
you're locked in.
I'm locked in. But like it's true, So I think for anyone, it's not the easiest to start that while you do a corporate job or something, as you said. But I think
at some point you have to just take some level of risk.
Yeah.
And you have to jump. And like all the guys that I've interviewed and spoken to and have great relationships with who gotten the most out of like Trackstack or just going for it.
Yeah.
They made a jump. They were a lawyer, they were in sales, they were in blah, 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 whatever the fuck you're in.
Yeah.
And they at one point they were like, nope, I want to do that.
Exactly.
And they just looked in the mirror and they said, I am that.
Yeah.
And that is usually the shift.
That's amazing.
And it just takes a while for people because they worry and they're concerned and all that. Even as founders, even starting Trackstack myself, I had to have that moment where I was like, okay, I'm going to start this company now. I'm going to leave being a developer job and role. And now I don't think about that.
Yeah.
And it's like, I am a founder. I'm running this company. And then it all unlocked. It all started to work.
It's a big step in belief. Like Evan took that same leap of faith, and it was primarily like Jacob and I, convincing him to make that step, come to Bali and do like our
must have been
our
huge
companies.
at the time. Like big. And
he
now
had a great job.
Evan from Bali
exactly.
works on Songstats.
Yeah, and now he's that is his entire life, and he built 2 great companies. It's like it's amazing. So generally, like I encourage anyone to take that leap of faith and believe in themselves and just try it. The worst case scenario is it just doesn't work out and you go back to what you did before.
Get another job.
Like
there's loads of jobs.
Yeah, like, exactly. Yeah. Like so let's address the other side of this, which is okay. We have the performers, right? And that is a very saturated market already, and it's really hard to break in. And there's only a couple of people every year, that can really make that step.
It's like Premiership football.
Yes. So it's really hard. So now let's talk about the producers that want to make a living off of their craft, and I think what you're doing now with Trackstack is amazing.
That's all about supporting that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because the more tools you can actually give for creators or for producers, to sell their expertise, to sell, craftsmanship, to build sort of a community around themselves, I think all these tools are invaluable. And I think even for bigger artists now, those tools will be really great to grow a community. But I think I know that you're doing studio and it's
Yeah.
already live for a bunch of
Some
bigger
people
companies.
like they're making some real revenue through that.
Yes.
They're living off that,
Yeah, it's amazing.
which is amazing to see.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is see what they do next.
Yes.
So some of the guys have gone on to then start a party or put together a label and play more.
Yeah.
But on their terms.
Yeah.
And I think that's the underline, their terms.
Yeah.
Maybe the performer in them wasn't ready because they didn't want to do it that way. But actually the performer comes out later because they have the capital and they get to do it in their creative way. And that's kind of the point, is that I don't believe everyone wants to not do both. I do think, like, especially in electronic music, like the DJ aspect is definitely a part of it. Because how do you show it otherwise? Some people are like, they are just engineers. Yeah. But some of the best engineers I know are some of the best technical DJs I've ever seen. Like Joe Iglesias. Like, the best mixing engineer you'll ever hear.
Yeah.
One of the best technical DJs. Like, you'll see stuff that you'll never see. Yeah. So it's like, those people can also deliver some of the best performances that you'll, like, creatively you'll ever hear. Yeah. So I think what we're trying to do is give people the opportunity to build a stable base over time. And then when they're ready to take more creative leaps, they have the capital and the sustainability to do so. Yeah. Because the people that I know that are excelling the most outside of the realm of the people that like are really breaking through are doing all like a 360. They're like selling their expertise and they've got a community and they've got a deep relationship with their DJ fans. But then they're also using that audience and that network to fuel their shows and to fuel the label. And they're able to do both at the same time. Right. But it's kind of more on their terms. They're not like waiting for someone to book them. They're just like renting the venue and they're putting it on and they're delivering the show. Right.
I mean, the thing is, like, for example, if you have like a base income of, let's say, like 2,000 or something like this that you can make off some people that like help to fund you by like subscribing, for example, to your studio, and you keep them up to date with production tips, or you give them special edits every week, or you do a podcast, or there's like a lot of ways, that you can find your niche. And then at that point, once you have that base, then you can go full time with this. Like, for example, right? Like, you can build that on the side, and then you can basically be like, okay, I have this base now. Now I can actually invest more into it and build it up. I think that's generally the more sustainable way. It's
the point is like, you want to get to what we were just talking about, like the point in which you leave the old world and enter into the new world. Yes. And for many people, okay, you can say very fleeting statements like, just make the decision and take the leap of faith. But it doesn't work like that. I understand that there are some like economic constraints that need to be considered. And like, you need to feel safe in what you're about to do. Yeah. And so we recognize that, which is why we've like gone this way, because to get people to leap more, they need to feel like my rent's paid, my mortgage can be paid, I can eat, I can like keep up some level of my lifestyle. Maybe, some things can drill down for a bit, like the expensive meals, and maybe I'll go on a few less trips. But if I can just get to like base camp, ramen, like, if that concept of ramen profitability, it's like in startups, there's like ramen profitability is like, you can just eat. Yeah. You can eat ramen.
Yeah. That's true though.
And it's like, if you can just get there, then you're already there. Yeah. You're already at level 1, and then it can only grow up, in my opinion. And we've seen it. Like, people get there, and then all of a sudden they have their whole week back. And when they were a 9-to-5 DJ, when they could only make music in the morning for 2 hours, and then after work, and then at the weekend they get a little bit of time, but they're knackered because they worked all week and they got the stress of work. Yeah. Having your whole week,
that's crazy,
to make music and then be who you want to be, you're going to embody it way faster.
100%.
And then it comes
in. Yeah. People feel it. And then at that point, you're hungry, to make it work. You're not like, you're treating it differently because you wake up and that's your mission. It's not like, oh, I got to go to the work, and then, oh, I go to gym. And then at the end of the day, like, you're already tired. And then you're with your girlfriend and she wants to watch Netflix. And then like, okay, in the end, like, you work like an hour on something and you watch some YouTube video about some like,
compression.
Some compression, yeah. So, okay, like at that point, it's not going to go anywhere. Like, truthfully.
It's a hobby at that point.
Yeah, it's a hobby. But like, if you're serious about it, like, I think at that point, if you can take that time, or even just take some time off, or during the holidays, or actually travel somewhere. Like, nowadays you can make music on a laptop, like in Bali, like, or in the Bahamas.
You don't need a studio. You just need some headphones.
Exactly. Like, go somewhere where it's actually like the cost of living is also like relatively cheap. Like, it's actually like really great.
2,000 in Thailand or anywhere like that is double.
I mean, honestly, the only reason why we were able to like bootstrap Songstats for that affordable, like, or like generally, like, I think otherwise we would have had to have investment, was because we were located in Bali.
Yeah.
Like, we basically got relatively cheap rent, cheap food. Everyone was taking like a big pay cut basically just to like make it work. And if that wasn't the case and we had to hire people that were living in New York, now Jack was able to go back to New York and now he can afford himself like a nice apartment there,
It's
but
the
like,
same here.
Yeah, exactly. But like in that moment when you are still in that like upcoming phase, you just need to like commit, and you need to be cost effective and all these things. And then you really want to make it work, it's cool.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
But yeah, I think, drawing it to a close, that what you've kind of shared about the embodiment of the artist is like really relevant to everything you're doing at Songstats, everything we're doing at Trackstack. Yeah. And you're actually doing it, which I think is really cool.
The execution part of it is the most important. I mean, just already the fact that we're sitting here recording a podcast, right? Like, not kidding you. Like, we could have easily like caught up now in Bangkok, just like hang out in an apartment or something like this. But no, we're doing it on a podcast. That also is a content creation, like in a way. We get to chat. We get some highlight clips off of this. That's like the mindset of like, okay, we want to, keep growing in a way.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
and then you get to have fun later.
Exactly. That's exactly right. It's perfect. But that's not on camera.
Well, behind the scenes. Yeah. No, it's a good point. It's when you're in that world and it's kind of on you and you're living out like what you want to do, you always have the energy to do it.
Yeah.
There is no suppression. Okay, There's down days, of course, but there's not suppression.
No, it's good. I think all the tools that are coming this year to Trackstack, people can be really excited about. So when is Songstats data coming to Trackstack?
Next month.
Yes. Lock it in.
February.
That will be cool. So the idea is
we've been working on that for a while. Yeah.
Yes. So you can actually like see like if someone really big with like a lot of monthly listeners sends you like a demo, like that can be like immediately like on top of the inbox because it's sort of like a priority, right?
Yeah. Advanced tags and
advanced tags. Genres, like there's a lot of cool things that can be done there.
Yeah, it's gonna be really good, and we're gonna be sort of combining that with some more interesting ways to recommend labels and artists and help, streamline the sending process for people. Like, who should I send my track to? Who's the right person? So it's going to be really good.
It's very cool.
Yeah.
Last year we worked on this like end of the year campaign. We do that every year, right? Maybe you should do it as well. I think there's like a lot of cool data that you could do.
We do have some cool data.
Yeah. So with Songstats, we basically just like recap sort of like how many streams or playlists you got added to in that last year on the different platforms, right? And this year we did it for the first time as like a video. So we rendered the video on device and let you like download it. It was quite a hustle to set up, but like
did you get it done?
Yeah, it was cool. It was really cool. But that like took a lot of like brain power to like get that to work. And then the thing in the end was like we had it all ready, and you need to get the apps approved by Apple and Google, right? And then we're trying to submit the apps, and we're trying to submit on Android for Android, and it's like like some like weird like version is outdated. In order to do it, we had to upgrade like all the frameworks and everything, right, to the latest version to get it approved. And the thing is, like, everything breaks the moment you start upgrading all these dependencies. It's an absolute mess. And that was literally the only system left in Songstats that was like pre like AI era. Like, I think like now after like AI really blew up, like a lot of like the packages and dependencies and gems, they've gotten really stable because like now everything is sort of like caught up with AI, and AI fixed all the bugs, and now it's really good at like keeping it maintained sort of in a way. But like true. That stuff was pre-AI, and like for us in order to upgrade it was like an absolute hustle. And the thing is, we had to get it done quick because the recap was coming out, right? So we actually like applied for an extension of this like restriction from Google. I sent an email, to try and like get them to approve that app release no matter what, so that we could get it out. And we obviously immediately started building, right, and trying to upgrade this. And it was like a complete hustle, but now we got it all on the latest versions, all working.
So it's even better.
It's much better. and we got all done in 2 days, and which was crazy because before I attempted this for like a week before, and it like never really like was able to get it done. But like once the pressure is on, we got it done in 2 days. I got it done and delivered, or before they responded to my email from Google.
Sick.
Which was like 48 hours. It's like ridiculous that like they cannot even respond to an email because this was pressing to us, and they have this like priority support and stuff for this type of thing, and they don't even respond. It's like ridiculous. But we have it all done, and the app is even better now, and it feels really like nice and fluid now. Which I'm super happy that we did
app, please.
Yeah, but so back, back to the recap though. The recap is really cool, and now it's a video. But I think with Trackstack, it's actually really cool if like the people that have an inbox can sort of see like how many demos did they receive and like all of these stats, and they can share that, and that's really cool. And also maybe how many they like shortlist and how many they sign, so people can, it's a bit of transparency that people can see sort of like what the acceptance rate is. And I think also for artists that are sending, it's kind of cool to get a recap of like, oh, how many promos did they send? Stuff like this. It's just like encouraging you know, like
we're gonna do that once our mobile app's coming out next month as well. It's been a long time.
Sick.
And then I think we'll be able to start doing some of these things, like those sort of stories of what's been happening.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
Super cool.
Cool, man. Well, it's good to chat. And now we're going to go and enjoy Bangkok.
Let's do it. Let's go, Cam.
Sick.